Hey YouTube, it is your girl Sharonda Patrice and I am back with another video. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Today we are going to continue on our Fruit of the Spirit series, and today we're going to be talking about patience or long suffering. The definition in the dictionary of patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. And so, biblically, the biblical definition is for long suffering and patience, the suffering of affliction, pain, toil, calamity, provocation, or other evil with calm, unruffled temper. So basically, that's saying like you don't let things ruffle your feathers. To go furthermore into the definition of long suffering and patience, long suffering is, like I said, patience is also endurance, it's also perseverance. The ability to endure difficulties, no matter the challenges or trials, without complaining. Like I have to stress the without complaining. That's what patience is learning how to get through the times without complaining. Biblical long suffering is continuing to walk in the Spirit in the midst of pressure, in the midst of opposition. You're going to suffer in long suffering. And it's hard to hear that as being a fruit of the Spirit. And I don't want you guys to take it as like, that's all we're going to go through as Christians. Once we become Christians, all we're going to do is suffer. That's not true. That's not what God is expecting from this. He's just wanting you to know that suffering is going to come, but He has equipped us with everything we need to handle it. So let's go over some biblical examples of patience or long suffering. So first, we can talk about Sarah and Abraham, right? They had patience because they wanted a child. And Sarah was 90 and Abraham was 100 before they even had their child. 90 and 100 before they had their child. Okay? Let's also talk about Joseph, who was thrown in the well by his brothers, taken out of the well, sown into slavery by his brothers. Let's talk about him being thrown in jail. And he never complained. Like he is like the textbook definition, biblical definition of long suffering and patience. Like he went through being thrown in the well, being sold into slavery, and being thrown in jail. And he never complained once. Like, never complained once. And here we are complaining because the McDonald's line is too long. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just got to figure out some patience in our lives. Let's also talk about the lady with the issue of blood, okay? Lady with the issue of blood had that for 12 years before she was free from that. 12 years of nothing but nonstop bleeding. For 12 years. That's called patience. And all she had to do was touch the hem of his garment. But it took her waiting till it was her time to be able to touch the hem of his garment. And my last example is Noah. Now, Noah, he built the ark. I don't know exactly how long it was that he was building, how long it was from the time that God told him to build the ark to the time that the rain came. But the ark was big enough to fit him, his wife, his kids, their wives, and every single animal with a pair on there. So if he had to build an ark that big to fit all of those animals, all of his family on there, then That had to take some time. I don't know exactly how long, but like I said, his wife, his sons, and their wives. Okay, he was 500 when he first had his first son. So to consider that his sons were grown enough to have wives, he had three of them. His sons were grown enough to have wives, and then the reign came when he was 600. So I don't know exactly how long he was building it, but it was long enough for his kids to be old enough to have wives and to be on here. So like I said, that took patience, especially as people are like talking about him, like, why are you doing that? It ain't rain here in a while. You crazy for building an ark. Ain't no rain coming. Da 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 da. So that took patience to not complain about having to build that big old ark, and it took patience to not complain about the people that was talking about him. So let's talk about modern day things that we go through that we don't think nothing about, okay? So let's talk about waiting on packages. Every example I'm giving you is something that I deal with because I do not like to wait on packages. Give me my prom, let me hurry up and get that in my 2 days. And it's been a struggle since this COVID started because if your stuff is not priority, they don't send it out. So I like to get my little prom packages in my 2 days. Let's talk about losing weight. As soon as I eat a good meal, I go get on the scale and think I done lost 5 pounds. Like, I be thinking that I done lost some weight just from eating a day. Very good. And it don't happen like that. It's gonna be a process. It's gonna take time. Also, another thing I've learned is gardening. I've been getting into the gardening lately. And it takes time. When you put the flower in the ground, when you put the seed in the ground, it's not gonna be there tomorrow. And I literally go outside and check every day. Like, okay, what y'all doing over there? Y'all growing? I don't see anything. Get a little bud on there real quick so I know you're growing. Like, I really be like, look at every day and see if it's growing. But it takes time. It takes a process. But once it gets to what you're expecting, it's like, yes, my work here is showing progress. It's showing something. I'm bearing fruit from what I planted. You know what I'm saying? And also, because Michael Ty, he got on me the other day when I was watching his little video on patience. And he's talking about driving and talking about people driving 10 and they got all that space up there and they're driving 10. But then when I want to go around, they want to go fast. Like, why you weren't going fast before? You were just going 10. So like, those are things that we don't even think about as being impatient. But we are being impatient when we do things like that. So that's just things that we have to keep in mind. So, how will you know if you have patience if you're not tested? How will you know if you have patience unless you go through something that requires patience? So, let's go to James 1, 2, and 4. And that says, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Basically saying that you're gonna go through something. How can you have patience if you haven't gone through it? So now the question is, how do we implement patience? So we already know that patience lives on the inside of us. Once we get saved, patience lives on the inside of us. So the first thing to do is to seek God, okay? That's the first thing to do is to seek the Holy Spirit. The second thing is when you seek the Holy Spirit, listen to it. When it tells you to do something, do it. So second thing is listen. Third thing is ask for guidance. and the ability to be patient and long suffering. But let me tell you something. If you ask for patience and you ask for long suffering, you're going to get it. But you're going to have to go through stuff. So be aware, like I said, that you're going to go through stuff to get patience. Every time you go through something, that's going to strengthen your patience. So it may be tough, but if we create a habit of seeking God in all of our circumstances, listening to Him before decisions or even speaking and asking God for guidance, it will be easier. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for listening. I will see you guys next week. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye.